Hello, everybody, and welcome to the McRADcast. Today is going to be super cool. I am here with two very, very longtime friends of 30 plus years, Mr. Chad Newsom and Colby Brewer. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, good to be here.
Hey, everybody. Good to have you guys on, and thanks for having us.
Yeah, man, dude. It's like I was talking before, I was going to have you guys on way earlier, but we started booking people and people were accepting at a much faster rate than I expected. So,
Well, that's to be expected with you, man. This is going to be a thing.
I hope so, man. Awesome. It's fun to do. So yeah, but I've known these guys for over 30 years now. Early elementary school.
Yeah, second grade, for me at least.
Yeah, second grade. I think I met Colby. I think I met you maybe slightly before Chad.
Yeah,
you guys were already at JB Young, and I moved there in the second grade.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we met pretty early on, man. That's when we were at JB Young, and you were right down the road. So, like you were driving distance as long as I could nag my mom to go down there and pick you up.
Yeah,
and, we could have shenanigans.
I remember one of the first times we ever hung out. I was like, we were fast friends, obviously, but I was a little jealous because I remember, and I think I'm remembering this right. You had the Ecto-1 toy from Ghostbusters, the car.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is the coolest dude ever. I was like, he has the Ecto-1? I think I even told my mom that. He's like, he has the Ecto-1. So it's like.
He had the turtle van, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did.
We set that on fire.
Yeah.
We actually did.
So I was like, he's kind of a big deal,
During the pyro phase.
that was the super soaker.
I don't know if I ever left that phase.
Yeah,
just repress it.
So, but yeah, a lot has happened in those 30 plus years. Chad, you're a tattoo artist and business owner.
I am.
And Colby is you have a t-shirt business, right?
Right. Yeah. I do t-shirts.
I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah. We've got a little branding company. I guess would be the best way to do it because we touch on a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
It's in the EDC community, right?
Oh yeah, it's in. Yeah, there's a lot of guys probably going to be listening to this one, man. They've been checking out your podcast already, man. Like they've been diving into it. But yeah, it's EDC and mostly got started in the knife making community, and a lot of these guys have amazing pieces and didn't have a whole lot of merch that was available. I mean, when you're working and making those kind of things, you don't have a lot of time to sit down and deal with merch and sit on that and that kind of thing. And it kind of started as a way to help promote these guys, and it's really exploded, and it's become this family that has done amazing works, and we're happy to have them listening as well, and want to shout them out a little bit.
Absolutely, and I also wanted to touch on that for real quick. So you can listen to this podcast anywhere that you find your podcast, and I we always post it on social media, give you links and things. But any app you use, you can find it on there. And I also started a YouTube channel because I do plan on, and I do upload the audio with just a graphic for now, but I do plan on getting a video setup so we can actually make this a video thing, which I think will be cool. But that's it's in the future. There's definitely cost behind that, and if you want to do it right, you gotta spend that money. But when I launched the YouTube channel, just like within some hours, you helped me out there. You blasted it on your site, on your Facebook page,
right?
The Snail Trail screen printing page. Mm-hmm. And man, I got to like 100 subscribers in like a couple of hours. So it was really cool to have those people, and they seem genuinely interested in checking the thing out. So
they're into everything cool, and I mean, it didn't take much of a shout out because I knew this was going to be something that would really take off, and genuinely, if I say something about something that might be interesting to check out, and the fact that we were going to be on here, and I was gonna shout them out too, so that I'm sure that's helpful on the end.
You haven't said the name of your page yet.
Well, it's Snail Trail Screen Printing. That's the group. I've got a .com that you can directly access through the group, but again, it started as a hype page for knife makers, and it's really gone in all kind of different directions. We do everything from hot sauce to like I said, merch of any kind, and graphics and patches and stickers.
Yeah,
we've got a lot
some really good hot sauce too, guys. So
they're super tight knit though. Like I kind of see it from an outside perspective a lot. The whole Snail Trail group, and like they are constantly like doing stuff for each other. He's constantly getting cool stuff in the mail. I mean, it's just it really amazes me.
They're good people, man. It's a family, and it's evolved into into that. I mean, there's no other term for it. And
You're on the snail trail page.
I
right?
am.
Okay, yeah.
I am, and I've dipped my toe into the EDC community very lightly.
Yeah, you got into
I got a Robert Carter piece I'm excited about. And, it's nothing
awesome.
It's nothing like crazy fancy, but it's a Robert Carter knife.
That's
It's-
me. I have one fancy knife.
Yeah, and that dude is he's great.
He's great.
Yeah, and
I love Robert.
so yeah, like I said, dipped my toe in a little, and I'm very familiar. I mean, I'm slightly familiar.
Yeah.
So it's good to give the shout out to those guys, and I appreciate everybody subscribing. I do plan on uploading there and getting videos soon. So yeah, thanks for that.
Absolutely. Man.
And yeah, you guys check out Snail Trail Screen Printing and all that good stuff. And if you need some things done, I'm sure Colby would be happy to
We'll figure out how to
oblige.
do stuff. It's been a little slow the last couple of months. We've been going through some treatments and stuff like that, medical stuff. But we're about to pick back up, and it's going to be back where it needs to be in a timely sense and timely manner. So, but yeah, we're still cranking out hot sauces and doing all kinds of stuff.
Rock and roll.
And discussing old times on podcasts.
Yeah, man.
We're getting ready to get some shirts made for the shop this week.
Yeah, actually, we got to do that, man.
And
Yeah,
hey,
let's
perfect segue there. So you're a tattoo artist, and how long have you been tattooing now?
Oh gosh, dude. I started messing with it 13 years ago now.
That's awesome.
It was 2007 whenever I started the first apprenticeship.
Nice.
And then 2008 whenever I started Budo.
Sweet. Okay. So, and now you just give us a little spiel on your on your place.
I own Hybrid Moments Tattoo here in Jackson, and we've been open for almost 5 years. This summer will be the 5-year anniversary, and actually I'm planning on having a get together this summer. Like we're gonna have a 5-year anniversary party, and I'm actually gonna be linking up with Hub City Brewery.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're actually Cody up there is gonna brew us a special 5-year anniversary brew.
That is super
It's
rad.
going to be so awesome for the
I'm-
party.
I'm looking into getting permits to get like some live music outside and whatnot. So
That'd be cool. Maybe we can do like a live cast or something.
that would be fun, man.
Yeah, something. Yeah,
I'd love
that'd be
to do
cool.
all the cross promotion we can for
Yeah,
sure.
man. So I would like to get the Hub City guys in here because we do a thing just called a local spotlight where we just do like a little 5 to 10 minute.
I tattoo Cody a lot. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I've spent a lot of time with that guy, and he would be fun to have on.
Nice, cool.
Yeah.
So in the shop there you have you and what's kind of the setup? You got a couple artists.
Yeah, well, I have 2 other tattoo artists, Grayson and Levi, and they were both trained in house. They both apprenticed for like about 2.5 years apiece, which is, the state says you have to apprentice for at least a year, which, they throw in that little at least there. So it kind of leaves it up to the artist's discretion. And, I did about 2 years on my apprenticeship and they did about the same.
Right on.
But yeah, they're now fully trained, taking walk-ins. I don't have any apprentices anymore. Alex, microblades up there. Which is a lot of people don't know about the microblading, but it's pretty much just like putting, using like superficial tattoo marks like to make fake looking eyebrows, and they look real.
Yeah.
The state of Tennessee actually considers it a tattoo.
Nice,
So you have to
okay.
have like a tattoo license and
Yeah.
stuff like that to do it. And then we have Jamie Lutz up there doing piercings.
Okay, cool.
So we have a
Got a full house.
So
got a-
guys,
got
if
a
you want to
full
get
house.
if you want to get tattooed, you want to get pierced, you want to get your eyebrows on fleek,
I was hoping you were going to say that.
yeah, go in there and get did up for
Oh,
sure.
And Alex loves it when you call her Blades. It's her favorite nickname.
Blades?
So if you see her on the
I feel like
streets,
that's not. I feel like that's not real.
just say what's up, Blades.
Do not call her that.
It's real now. It's on a podcast.
Rock and roll. So yeah, check those guys out. Go get a tattoo, like I said, pierced up, all that good stuff. So yeah, okay. So when we all started hanging out, I think, and we talked about this. Josh and I talked about this a little bit on a previous episode. Not us in particular, but the importance of kids needing a place to have, like, to be able to just go and hang out. And so
Absolutely.
somebody in the group, somebody's parents needs to be cool enough to have like a shitload of kids at their house, right?
Yes.
And I think most of our parents were all that. Like, I can remember us all hanging out at each other's houses.
Oh, especially when my dad went to work. I think that's kind of how your house was too, man. When your dad wasn't around, it kind of
Yeah, I mean, like the
we went
thing was,
wild.
like, when I was growing up, he had to do a lot of traveling for Kelly Foods, and he was gone, for a week at a time, doing conferences and things like that. And so, like, he would come in on the weekends, but that left all week, right after school. My mom was always really cool about letting you guys come over, and it was kind of one of those things. I would always I'd always play the whole like, well, you know, I don't have a brother to play with. You know, you guys screwed up. My brother's 10 years older than me, you know, and he's in college. He doesn't want to hang out with me. So you got to go pick up some friends, you know. And that's kind of where it started. You know?
Guilt trips.
Yeah, I got a guilt trip.
Yeah.
Dude.
So,
man.
And a lot of times there was several my birthday parties where we all came to my house.
The water gun fight.
The water gun fight was a great one, man.
You had the coolest birthday parties. Like, I would look forward to that year round to go to the water gun
So shout
fight.
out to my mom for putting up with, and Bill.
Oh, shout out to Bill for chasing us around on the 3-wheeler.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. On
Yeah,
that,
my
on that 350X, man. I still does Bill
It was
still
just
have
like
that
a
350X?
birthday tradition.
I don't know if he still does, but I can find out. I'm like,
You should tell that man to sell that to me. I've been nagging him since I was literally having water gun fights. It's like, give me that 350X. He's like, boy, you'll kill yourself on that thing. And I still will.
Which is probably true. Yeah, it's probably true. So, so we would all like, and I mean, there were times where there was like 8, 10, 12
easily,
people in that house. So, in my house, you know, it wasn't big really. It was, you know, and
roomy enough.
I know we drove my mom crazy, but they always let us do that. So it's like a really cool thing. And like I said, I think it's important to have for kids to have a place to have that, right? Because so we would have these birthday parties, and then we would rent movies. Now this is back when there was this wasn't DVDs. DVDs weren't a thing yet, and we would go to like. In South Jackson, there was a couple of video rental places, but I feel like one of them was just called Video Rental South. I think that's the name of it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even clever.
Shady hole-in-the-wall building.
Video Showtime for a little while.
Video
out there, too.
Showtime.
Video Showtime.
And then like, was there like a Video Stop or something?
Video Stop.
Did you know that James Rowe worked there back in the day?
No.
Like way back in the day. Like you probably saw James working at Video Showtime.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. So, and they always had, for some reason back then, video rental places always had they had tanning beds.
Oh yeah, that was their side project.
That was weird. A side hustle.
I wonder how that came to be.
Yeah, I don't know. They're like, let's put a tanning bed in here.
Yeah.
Charge people for it.
Rent your movie, you know, and then and get cancer.
Yeah. So I guess it was one of those things because back then, like tanning beds were probably expensive as shit.
Yeah.
So it was like they were like, we can just rent it out to people. Like you come rent a shitty movie and, like you said,
a shitty tank.
microwave yourself.
Microwave yourself. Just throw your popcorn in there with it and just kind of lay there in the butter.
Yeah. But it was just looking back on it, it was like, what? Like, why were there tanning beds in there?
Both of their side rooms had to do with getting naked.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true. They kind of did.
So we would rent movies, and man, my mom, and I don't know if it was. There's got to be other people that have this thing. My mom didn't really vet the movie rentals that we got.
No, she did not.
So we would just rent like the most obscene shit because we were all into like horror. We would always get horror movies or whatever, comedy movies and stuff, and usually it was, you know, pretty standard fare, like whatever comedy, you know, Ace Ventura and all this. I
think I remember watching Carrie at your house one time.
Yeah, Carrie, and then you know the classics like Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. But I remember, before I get into the big one that we've already talked about via text message, there was there's been a remake of this movie semi-recently, within the last probably 6 or 7 years. And there's a movie called I Spit on Your Grave.
Oh, man.
And it's the original's from like the late 70s, early 80s. Mm-hmm. The premise of the movie is girl goes to this cabin that's secluded for, I don't know the reason.
She's a writer.
There it is.
Yeah.
Writer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she gets attacked and brutally raped and left for dead by these 3 or 4 guys.
Okay.
And it's like brutal. Like the scene in the movie is brutal.
I haven't seen the original. I've seen the remake, but the remake is just.
So this might have been one of those things where I just rented the movie when it wasn't a get together, but my mom rented the movie for me, the old one.
Right.
And I remember watching this movie and being like, what? Like because the rape scene is like, it's so bad, man. Right. And I remember just being like, and then she, so then after the girl, she's left for dead, and then she does not die. Right. She comes back to, she gets her shit together, and then she launches this revenge scheme against these dudes, and then like essentially murders them in the most brutal ways possible. So
she should.
Yeah, absolutely. And
it's well deserved.
And it's a very satisfying like revenge movie.
Right.
But when you're like 8 years old,
It's too much.
Jesus Christ, man. It was like, why am I watching this? So that brings me to a movie that we did all watch together. And Colby, I don't know.
Can
if
you
you
even
were,
call it a movie?
I don't think it's.
Well, okay, but you guys should.
There's
segue
no
into this
plot.
one
There's no
because
script.
I don't remember this movie because ultimately, like on all the hangouts and things like that, it was the one thing that nobody really ever noticed was I didn't watch any of these movies. Still to this day, I can say that I've never seen any of the Freddys, any of the Jasons, any of the Halloweens. Like horror movies messed with me when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I couldn't do it. But I would always be really respectful and just kind of leave the room and just stick my head in randomly and throw popcorn at you kind of thing. Like at the parties and stuff, but I never watched those
He was
things.
a good support friend.
I mean, basically I was just trying to save myself. And what I popped my cherry on was Walt Wimberly's like 11th birthday party, and I literally sat up when everybody else passed out and watched Candyman start to finish. So that's what I popped my cherry on when it comes to horror movies.
I told a Candyman story on the podcast. I'll talk about later.
But no, going into y'all.
So
I never had the balls to watch this movie y'all are about to talk about.
It's terrible. So I don't know, for those of you listening, you can probably just find this shit all over the internet now, but I don't suggest it. But there was a video series called Faces of Death.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And
What
it was
the fuck?
And it wasn't a movie. It was literal footage.
By the title, do you think you thought it was just another horror movie?
I thought so, yeah.
Because I mean,
even with, I don't even know, like, I'm sure the back of it explained that it wasn't.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason,
inappropriate for children. I mean, I knew what it was before I watched it.
So we did. Maybe we did.
You have to mention that again. This is before the internet. This is like when we were still a little,
Everything's magazines and word of mouth.
We were
Exactly.
we were probably what, 10, 11, 12?
Oh yeah.
In that neighborhood.
I would say 12 tops.
So at this point, Mom lets us rent Faces of Death and
boy.
volume whatever.
Does your mom ever watch the movie with
No.
you?
No. We would go in his bedroom and watch them.
Oh, okay.
She
cool,
would.
cool,
That's why
cool.
she kept renting the movies for us.
All right.
So,
I thought maybe she was just a degenerate. Maybe she was like,
No,
"Fuck that."
no.
so we put this thing
She
on.
just trusted
never
you.
saw him.
Yeah, she just trusted you, little shits, and you never told her.
No.
Right.
So this one was like, so Faces of Death is actual scenes of people either dying or getting like
Mauled.
very badly injured.
And even to this day, when there's a video that pops up where somebody actually dies, it fucking feels weird.
Yeah, I don't like it.
I can't watch it.
I'm not
like
a
all
fan.
those like machete videos from Mexico. Like I can't do it.
Do it. Like as soon as I realize what they are, I'm like, I gotta go.
I'm not that's the reason I don't like to follow. What's the UFC guy? Derek Lewis?
Derek Lewis. My balls is hot guy.
Yeah, my balls is hot. Yeah. He on his Instagram.
He has one of those aggressive Instagrams.
And it's like he always says he's okay, and then you watch the video and it's clearly like someone like, and I'm like, I don't want to watch people die. Like that's not a thing I want to do.
Lord.
And like I need a not safe for life tag or something. But anyway, cut to 1993 or whatever it was. There's a group of 10 to 12-year-olds. Me and Chad, and I won't even name anyone else to protect the innocent, but it's a group of 8 to 10 of us watching Faces of Death volume whatever, and it's like,
Do you remember that guy that tried to launch himself across the lake in that car?
it wasn't a lake. Hold on, because this is the only one that actually made we made jokes about it because you don't see him die, and he doesn't die. That's the one guy that didn't die. That's because we made.
He was lucky.
Yeah. So he tried. So
I remember that scene because that's the one that I would walk in. I'm like, does this guy die?
So he
'Cause, I was more aware than your mom. I was outside sitting with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like not snitching on us.
Probably watching Friday. I remember your mom loving Friday.
She still does, I think. Yeah. She probably won't admit it at this point because she's.
Friday's a good movie.
Yeah. But so anyway, so this guy, homemade style, builds a jet engine and puts it on like a Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
And he's going to jump, not a lake, the Rio Grande River.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah.
You mean the one betwing Mexico and the United States?
Yeah.
And he takes off and like shits.
Did he have his visas ready or anything?
Man, like, sir, let me see your card.
See your credentials,
Yeah.
sir.
So he is going to jump the Rio Grande River in a Monte Carlo or whatever it is with a jet engine on it. And immediately, even at like 12 years old, we're like, well, this is terrible.
Look, the ramp is clearly not elevated enough to make this jump.
Well, this one,
This is all stuff we
it was
knew
almost
about.
like the ramp was too steep.
Oh yeah,
like it didn't go
shot
out.
him straight up.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
that's
he
even
He
worse.
went like this.
So he couldn't even saucepan across the top of the water or skid. You know, he's just like gonna plummet.
But when he starts to take off, like shit's already falling off the car. And then when he hits the ramp, he goes straight up in the air, and then it just like the car just like disintegrates.
Right.
And then when he hits or whatever, you're like, oh my god! And they go through the thing, and it was like, Jim was lucky he broke his back. And we're like,
He's forever paralyzed.
and I guess compared to death, maybe.
maybe.
But you're like, he was lucky.
Yeah, right.
He was an idiot. So those are like that's some like Darwin Awards type shit right there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that was one you could kind of laugh at. But some of these were like people getting like torn apart by horses.
No, it was
and-
the girl
Yeah, dude.
that was skiing. They got run over by the speedboat.
Oh my god!
Do you remember? Because they
That's
drug her up
brutal.
on the beach, and
Yeah.
she had like slices
Yeah,
and
dude.
like her tit. And I remember like being excited to see a tit, but like grossed out at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah. That's a confused state.
Yes,
right.
It's like titty, but damn, I
So-
don't like the dead person.
Again, this is before the internet, so
Yeah.
I mean, I take a titty when I can get one, but you know,
right.
So yeah, we saw this and we're like, Jesus, and I think we ended up turning it out. Like I don't know that we even
I don't
finished
think y'all
watching.
finished that. Like
Because
I mean, I remember
this-
some of the faces as they escaped the room, and it was just like, I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah. Well, because you,
the monkey. They showed the monkey getting hit in the head.
yeah, there was that whole thing about like hitting the monkey and like eating the monkey brains and all that.
Is that on Faces of Death? Maybe
I
I'm
think
getting
it-
much
I think-
stories.
no, I
Indiana
think it
Jones,
was.
maybe. I don't know what you.
Well, no, it's from that because, but that's a real thing.
Oh no! So it's like
They like trap the monkey's head on this table and like it was
Beat it
brutal,
to death,
dude.
and they take the skull off and eat the brain.
Oh, jeez.
It was. It's all terrible shit that you should never watch. And
Should we call it Pizza Hut?
Yeah, see, my escape thing, because I'm a few years younger than you guys, so my escape thing where we got away with it was CKY. It was like pre-Jackass.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Like-
CKY2K was one
Yeah.
of the greatest
It-
videos that ever.
Like we would go to Suncoast and be like, "I'd like this CKY," and the guy would be like,
good call out on Suncoast.
Yeah, and
Oh, man.
they were like, "ID, please," and be like, "Oh shit," and then the guy would be like, "Just kidding."
You could buy.
he didn't give a shit.
He did not give me any fucks.
You could buy Girls Gone Wild on VHS at
Yeah.
Suncoast.
Yes.
Represent, yeah.
Has it been that long? I thought that was a DVD.
I literally
Or
like
maybe it was a DVD.
Well,
There was
maybe
only
it was.
like
I
a-
don't really don't know.
there was
It could've
only a
been
couple of like weird nude scenes in CKY of a woman. It was like weird, like in between scenes of like Bam fingering his girlfriend. We were like, "What the fuck is that?" And then like,
great.
but eventually, you yearn for more, and so we were like, "Oh damn, this Streetcars video's got all kinds of naked bitches in it." So we would like go buy that just for the naked. I didn't care anything about
Right.
the cars.
Right.
So, and keep in mind, guys, this is like pre-internet or
It
at
was
least.
early internet where video was not much of an option.
Yeah, and if you were poor, you couldn't.
Yeah.
You didn't have
the dial-up internet with the slow computer did not play well with video.
Sure. So yeah, basically, my mom should have definitely been scanning our video rentals.
Well, she will from now on, sir.
Yeah, by God.
She's gonna do it from now on for the rest of your life.
But yeah, but that was the thing. Like, I guess there's people that do like that stuff. I can't. I'm not down with watching people die, man. That's
That's an awkward deal.
yeah, it does something to you, and especially when you're 10. You're like, geez.
Yeah, that's the kicker.
There's a real issue with desensitization, or I don't know how to say that word.
Citation.
With desensitizing people.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
let's just change it.
I went to Southside, man.
That's
Shit.
like a Porky Pig thing, blah, 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 and then
Yeah.
he just changes it to something different.
So, but speaking of the internet, we talked about this a little bit off air. First person that we knew with the internet.
George Tosh.
Yeah, George Tosh. Shout out if you're
How
listening.
old were we? Maybe 7th, 8th grade? I think would be
Yeah.
about the time that, like,
13.
very early. Because I remember it was like he would pull the internet up on a green screen.
Yeah, that's the
So-
thing is like, and ironically enough, because this is 7th and 8th grade actual year, and I mean, I remember him having that, and then my grandparents got it because their whole they got this whole thing where they watched a video and it was like, guys, this is a new thing, and you could get the Encyclopedia Britannica on a computer. This was when nobody had computers and stuff, and my granddad, as cheap as he was, sprung for a computer and wanted me to.
Well, they used the magic word,
wanted-
encyclopedias.
right? And wanted me to to have access to that. They were always really cool about that. I mean, they lived in Bemis, nothing, but they had a computer early. It was crazy because they were stupid.
Yeah, because I think
remember
we used to play those text adventure.
we would do Virtual Dimensions, which was it was one of the first online little forums, and it was amazing because like you could connect and you would type to other kids in other schools, and I mean, what you would base it on is the fact: hey, are you a girl? Are you a boy? Are you literally? Then that's how you would date. Like that was the first steps of internet dating.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. Like how weird. You remember how weird it was when internet dating came out?
Yeah.
How weird it was.
There were all the markers,
Right.
male seeking female, and all that stuff.
It was so crazy. And it was really no different than almost a digital version of of a newspaper ad. And I mean, you would have to text and then send it like email. It was like You Got Mail the movie, but it was even more primitive than that. And I'll never forget. I freaking I was on there, and there was a girl that went to a school. God, it wasn't JCM. It was one of the little private schools out north at the time.
Jackson Christian or something.
Could have been something like that. And the girl, like, bless her heart, she didn't have a date for prom or whatever. And so I mean, even being a young man, I could put two and two together. There was a reason that there was nobody going to take you to the 8th grade prom. But we had literally played this video game that we would sit over and play it at Mama's house. And I was like, you know what, we'll have a little thing. We'll meet up at the South Park and meet, and she was actually just a normal, like I was expecting an ogre to. I don't mean that in a negative way, but I mean I didn't,
a positive ogre.
A positive. No, it was great though.
Fiona.
And we ended up going out, and we went to her prom. It was a fun time, and like she had a blast, and so I mean it was like one of the first positive experiences that I had.
Dude, you were out here fucking killing the internet dating game, and
dude,
We were looking up
that shit.
porn. Could you call that porn?
No, yeah, it's like Spice. It was like we were talking about earlier, the Spice Channel.
this came up in our
it's
last
just like-
episode.
Yeah.
The scrambled,
We're
and then,
obsessed with porn.
and then when somebody had the black box.
Oh, my
Yeah,
dad
my
always
dad-
had a black box.
We always in the Pecan Easy Street hustle game. Our folks should have been in the federal pen.
My dad seriously. Okay, well, they have like the child security things you can put on these days. Like my dad was seriously just like, don't go above channel 600. Whatever
Right.
you do.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to work.
And you're like, well,
And then as soon as he closes the door and you hear the car get out of the driveway,
unexplored territory. Yeah.
Sweet. Channel 605, and where's your handgun? Let me learn how to clean this thing.
So, so Chad and I, the first internet porn we ever saw was this really bad, like photoshopped picture of a naked chick with Sandra Bullock's head, like photoshopped.
I was convinced it was really Sandra
Yeah,
Bullock.
yeah. Oh, we all were, because we didn't know Photoshop or whatever.
Photoshop back
Yeah.
then. That was like, bitch, you need to get a tan on your body
Yeah.
versus your head. It's
Yeah.
kind of mixed matched.
But we were like, oh, and I remember it loading, and it's like,
Buffering.
loading. Yeah, and it was like, oh, and then when
slow
the
reveal.
and when you see the nips, you were like, yeah.
Did we have a printout of that? I feel
think
like we
so.
did. Like we were passing it around
That is
school.
a ridiculous thing that children used to do.
It's like black and white. Even we didn't
Print
even
out
have a,
porn.
Yeah.
Porn.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. I mean, that's what we had to do.
Oh, if you
I
got a
mean,
little piece of porn back in the day, like you held on to it.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, like if you had a magazine that had a certain girl, like you would tear out a page and you would trade it with your friend. And
yeah, it was like
Right.
baseball cards.
Exactly.
like
Like
baseball
you would trade,
cards. Listen, I mean, this was something that we didn't get to talk about beforehand, but one of the first, well, there was two incidences. Me and Becky Curlin found my brother's porn stash or whatever, and we got caught by my parents. It was ridiculous, and like because that was we were really like early and didn't know what we were really looking at. But I knew immediately that there was going to be a more revisited version of this at a later time. I just didn't know exactly why.
You're like something moved in me, but I don't know.
Right, exactly. But look, one of the first porns that, and I'm sure there was a lot of people that did this. Like literally, like I went over to Chad's one afternoon, and he's like, "Bud, come with me." and so it wasn't into his house. We got on our bikes. We went to the
woods.
We went to the woods. We went to the woods and we climbed mountains and valleys and waded through.
It was an adventure through Narnia.
It was an adventure to Narnia. And then when we got there was an old stump. And in that old stump was a 16-layered garbage bag thing. And we would go through it and reveal it. And it was like,
You had to double bag it. You know?
Had to double bag it. I mean, it had mildew on it.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody cared.
Oh yeah.
So this goes hand in hand. We literally just talked about this last episode where I found some porn in like a duffel bag on the back porch of my grandparents' house that my uncle had stashed.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah, in Bemis, my uncle he had like stashed it under, and it was like this
it was
old
a stash.
There was like this
Okay,
old
okay.
dresser back there that no one ever. And like I was like way too young, and I found it, and I was telling him like it wasn't like Playboy where it's like very tame. It was like gnarly, like Hustler or Penthouse or whatever.
Right.
And when you're like 6 years old, you're just like, what are they doing? You know, like, But then I like would go back to it, and like, I didn't know. You know what I mean?
It's like once you get over the initial shock, it's really not that bad.
Right. So the thing is, but that's the point is like finding porn before the internet was like traumatizing. And I'm sure that there's internet porn that's traumatizing as an adult.
Well, that's and we were talking about that. Like, this is the first generation. I mean, there's been 100 other people talk about this thing. It's like this is the first generation that we're literally like, you know, we got to do. I mean, even when experiences like what you had and what what I'm saying with Hustler and things like that, you know. At least we were dipping our toe into the ocean in our own way, and we had to kind of progress and see like heavier versions of it. And then all of a sudden, we lived in the age when all of a sudden it was on TV, but it was scrambled a little bit, you know. And then we got Spice Channel, and then we kicked it up a notch for a little bit.
Yeah, that was pretty
you know
hardcore stuff.
It got pretty good. And then but then and then you just moved on. But like kids today, man, like they can be like 10 years old and
catch
like
a nip on cable these days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like,
Well,
I mean you type into the internet when you're looking up like like a kid's got to learn what avocado looks like. Just put avocado. I guarantee you, 1 out of the 6 pictures that pops up in the first thing in Google is going to be some chick, getting double fisted. You know, I mean, like I don't know
why is this here?
I don't know why that's associated with avocados, but I mean, like it's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, keep that safe search on.
Right, right.
Keep that safe search on.
Yeah.
So,
Come on, parents.
so yeah, but so anyway, so kind of bringing that back around, those gatherings, and like you said, it was like an adventure. You had to have a treasure map to find the thing. It was like in an old stump, so you don't even know who put it there originally. It's just it's like it just exists there. And it grows over time.
I'm about to say it's been something that's been there for all of time.
Yeah, we had like woods right near my house in Westwood Gardens, and we would, everybody would traipse around to that area, and then there would be like a bench seat from a car, and then just porn mags would just magically appear there. Clearly, there's people that can probably buy the porn mags hanging out there at points in time, and we're just missing them. We probably got really close to getting molested a bunch of times and just missed.
No, you're right. Yeah, and it's weird that you pointed out the fact that it was always a car bench.
Yeah.
In our woods, we had a car bench.
Yeah. All woods are the same.
They are the same.
It's
they
weird.
They are the same.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I had to check a message real quick. I try not to do that.
It's all right.
But yeah, it was like Adventure Time. It was like this. It was this whole thing. So, I do want to talk about because he was talking about where he grew
Josh,
up.
yeah.
Josh was talking about where he grew up in Westwood Gardens. They had this ditch they used to play in, and I was like, I think everyone had a ditch.
Yeah, I had a ditch.
And I was like, we called it Red Canyon.
Red Canyon was awesome
Because it was like that shitty red clay sand or whatever.
It was a deep, like crevasse almost.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
It was the ruiner of clothes
It
too.
was the ruiner of clothes.
Yeah,
and
see, you guys
we
couldn't hide it as well as we did then.
Yeah, well, no, because it was red clay, and I mean, like this was a good 2.5-story walled side thing. So it was
That's
like
pretty
but
much how
flat,
ours was.
It was like flat sided and stuff, and there was no way to really climb it, so we had to go around to climb it. And then as we got older, we wanted to start learning how to rappel and do
Well,
stuff.
my dad worked at Project Cope, so he had all the rappelling gear and the ropes and everything, which he told us not to touch, of course.
Of course.
Just like the don't go above Channel 600,
And for those that don't know, Project Cope, was it a Boy Scout affiliated thing?
It was at Camp McMorris, and it was just like a big ropes course. They had rappelling and
I know
lines
and Cope itself is an acronym for something, but I can't remember exactly.
I don't
what
remember.
it was. But but he had all this badass climbing and rappelling
he
gear.
did.
Yeah.
So we would sneak it out, and we would do these little little rappelling
try
trips.
to rappel this stuff, and I mean the thing was like
We would try to zip line across. Remember?
No, I do remember because you almost killed me that day, you asshole. You cut the rope.
He was halfway across, and I sliced the rope.
I don't think I was there for that, but I definitely heard the story.
No, yeah, I was over there, and this is just
That's
how
an
the kind of
aggressive
asshole-
maneuver.
So-
this is just fucking asshole. That's just how it is. And I was halfway across, and there was no getting back because we literally went to Lowe's. Lowe's had just been built.
We bought like ski rope, I think.
And, we had ski rope, but also, like we knew we needed cable, so we went and bought a dog leash cable. We had no idea about weight distribution on stuff like that. We had a dog cable rated at 90 pounds. I was clearly 89. You know what I mean? And so we got it, and we tightened it across. I was like, I'm going to try to zip line across because that's when the movie Cliffhanger came out.
Yes.
I remember I was like, that opening scene, I was like, that's really awesome. I want to go across Red. Dude, got halfway across, and of course I'm weighing it down, and there ain't no pulling it up because I'm pulling on a plastic cable.
Yep.
I ain't got the upper body strength for that shit.
Yeah, it's like sagging.
And so Chad's just like,
down in the middle.
and so I'm literally back face down 2 stories up, and he's like, just gonna cut it. Starts cutting on it, laughing.
You were stuck. I was trying to
know,
help
yeah,
you.
Yeah, no, it's bullshit because I kept looking back. I was like, don't.
Your asshole is in your throat.
And I'm trying to get across. I literally summoned the upper body strength, and it was a great maneuver in the end because I was literally pulling myself up to the other side when the rope snapped and I got up. It was a motivating factor.
Kind of swung into the wall.
Yeah.
So that was well. That's what I wanted to kind of bring this about is because originally, before we got the better stuff to actually try it with, it was like the first attempt was with that shitty yellow nylon rope.
Yeah, like ski rope. Yeah,
and that shit.
No,
It stretches immediately. It
You guys had
breaks.
rope. We just literally used those big vines that grow
yeah,
out of
we-
a tree.
Oh, we tried those.
We
too.
would just
we
smoke
tried those
those.
too.
And sometimes they
smoking those.
sometimes they just didn't hold up.
Yeah.
So you got about halfway up and we're like, damn, here I go.
Yeah.
Jay had a new thing with that in the Boy Scouts one time.
Oh yes.
He fell. Yeah.
Yes.
But the Colby was always the innovator of like we saw a new movie.
I
And
was so bad about it.
and
So bad
then-
about it. I tried to send back that car.
Dude,
That's what I was just thinking.
I was going to bring it up.
Sent that car back
So-
in time. It didn't work at
So
all.
Cliffhanger was one that we could actually, in theory, it was like we can do that. We had the stuff. I mean, we injured ourselves a lot or whatever. But so Colby, at a really young age, saw the movie Back to the Future.
Yep.
Maybe part 2, whatever.
Part
either
two,
one. The first.
It was part 2, right?
But
Yeah,
either
yeah.
one, the car goes back either way. No, it's from the first one because he catches the
Well,
line.
it was a model, and
Yep.
so I was like, let's recreate the model. I obviously didn't have a DeLorean, but but yeah, go ahead.
So he had a remote control car, and it was like, well, how are you gonna like get the electricity to like do the thing? And he builds like this, like essentially this little fork on the front of the thing, and he's like, we're gonna drive it into a wall outlet.
Jesus Christ.
Because I wasn't stupid enough to go, all right, let me strip the wiring from this and have an open circuit. I mean, like even with a kid that didn't understand the concept of AC, DC, or any of that, I knew not to do that. But I was like,
but
if there's no connection between me and the device,
Right.
I could just drive it.
Yeah. But it gets better. It's not just the car. He's trying to send his dog, who's a pug named Stymie,
Yeah.
that poor dog.
into the future or past. We don't know how it works.
Rest in peace, Tiny.
No, that is not true at all.
From that event.
No, and he never got shocked. But
Yeah.
continue on with the story.
And
right.
Well,
He
I think I'm
never-
just going to hand the reins over to you at this point because
we tried it. Well, I tried it a couple of times, and the only one I can remember vividly, I think there was an attempt at the house. I think my mom maybe got involved in the first one because that was at the house. I was like, okay, so we went to the farm. Remember, we set up the whole device there, which is just the farm for those of you who don't know. It's basically just an open plot of land that is we used to hunt on and things like that. But it had electricity.
it's near Chickasaw.
So near Chickasaw State Park, literally butts up against Chickasaw State Park, and literally was nothing out there, but there was a telephone pole with an electrical outlet, and we could use electricity up there. So I tried it again, like the model, out there, and it just blew the fuse. I mean, it
did exactly what you as an adult know it should do.
Right. I mean, like it didn't catch on fire.
There was also the roller coaster that you tried to build off the shed.
That was fun. That was crazy.
Was it ladders?
So what I did? So
I come over one day, walk in his backyard. He's got like 2 ladders or something rigged together.
So
coming off of
I've got my dad's like aluminum tubing tree stands. He had a couple of them, which looked like track. You know, when I was like, I remember going to like Six Flags and going on the Ninja for the first time. It was like one of the first upside down roller coasters that was out there, and I remember seeing the tube, tracking and kind of literally taking into in consideration what they've got a pulley on the top, pulley on the bottom. I was like, and then I saw like a video of a guy that had literally a grown man that had stupid amount of money and built a little track in his backyard. I was like, man, you know what?
I can do that.
At like 7 or 8 or whatever I was like, I can do that. So I took the tubing, and I mean, this is how much our parents watched us in the 80s. I mean, this is why we at least had experiences to talk about nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
These kids aren't going to have this. I just took the tubing and doubled it up and laid it up against the top of the roof, and then when I could climb it, because it was at a pretty narrow thing, and then of course it just kind of ran into the ground, and I was like, well, okay, so I don't have like an up and down, but at least I've got a ramp, and so I was like, okay, now I need a cart,
a vessel
of some sort to transfer myself down said rail. So just went inside, got mom's laundry basket. That'll work. I'm saying you can do that now. I'm saying at this point I was like, I got to call Chet, but not yet. Got to get this dialed in.
Yeah.
And
this is the R&D.
This is the R&D part of it. And so I walked up the top of the hill. I'm standing on the roof of the house, and I can literally hear my dad going, "Don't stand on the roof." I mean, like, literally, that's how much give a shit they gave. Like, those parents like that. Dude, you're gonna tear up my shingles. Like, I mean, you're not gonna fall and break your arm. You're gonna freaking tear up my shingles. Yeah. No. So anyway, so I'm up there and I get in the basket and I'm sitting down there and I realize there's no guidance at all for it to travel down said path. So I was like, I think I have 2 plastic swords I can tape on the side of this to guide it. And so that's what I did. And so I got a couple of plastic swords and just taped it on the side, and that was my guidance. Boom, I'm ready. I called him. He's over in like 5 minutes, man.
Oh, yeah,
he lived right behind me.
Quick.
And we... man, I rode that thing down, and it picked up a lot of speed, a scary amount of speed, really quickly, and there was a sudden stop at the end, and I went rolling out, and it was awesome. We did it 4 more times.
Yeah,
and that one.
You had that little treehouse out there that we used to get in, and we would. I remember like the bigger we got. Like we were like, we're still getting in there, and it got to a point where it was just like
amazing.
It was just like we can't.
So amazing.
We were like,
I'm pretty
stuffed in there.
In our teenage years, we grew weed up there.
Maybe I don't know that
allegedly.
Allegedly.
We can't confirm.
Listen,
or deny.
That is alleged.
They were thinking about doing it when they were young and
it wasn't alleged. Yeah. We grew weed in the treehouse.
You probably
he
grew
did.
Weed in
Colby
the
grew weed. Tell Linda.
I didn't. No.
Tell his mom.
No, that is
because she
true.
busted you, and she came in there and she was like, "Colby, I want the drugs out of the treehouse."
No, that's not how it went down at all. She literally was like, I came in from school one day, and she was like, "How's your day at school?" I was like, "It's fine." Blah, blah, blah. She's like, "All right, well, what I'm gonna need you to do is go ahead and take out the trash real quick, and then we got to go get your hair, appointment done, and you got to get your hair cut and everything like that, and blah blah blah. And then we're gonna come home and eat, blah 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 blah. And I'd like the marijuana out of the treehouse." and there was nothing else said.
Oh boy.
And it was
really well done by your mother, like just nonchalant. And by the way,
you had the coolest backyard, man. You had the electric fence that we all would dare each other to pee on.
Oh, we did pee on it.
I was telling, I think we did this. I'm pretty sure we did this. If not, I lied in a previous episode. Didn't we make the chain to see if it would like go through us? And it totally works.
Absolutely.
Person on the end just gets
absolutely. If you're grounded on the end, you're done. You're lit, dude.
Person on the end just gets lit up. Yeah.
I
remember one time we were doing something out there, like playing the sprinkler or something, or water guns
jumping
or something.
over. We were jumping over the fence.
And when you walked over it that one time,
God, it was so rough.
it was like this water drop fell off of you, but it was still somehow connected to your body. Yep. And I remember it was like
it arced.
It was like
the perfect thing. It shot. Yeah, it shot straight in. It shot straight into that droplet and then arced to my dick.
Yeah,
hole.
Yeah.
And I mean, I mean, I was pretty rough. But that's weird that you remember that. I remember that vividly.
It's just the random little stuff. But so much stuff happened there, man.
Yeah,
like
God,
you,
so much stuff happened
you made a flamethrower out of a super soaker one time.
I was there for that. That was awesome.
That's safe.
It was pretty easy. We just pretty much like taped a Zippo on the front of a super soaker and filled it with gasoline.
I didn't even tape it. I just kind of held it out there, and I think it was
I think that was our original design, as we were going to tape it.
We were,
and then
the thing is, it was crazy, is because it was always him, y'all. This is not my fault. This is all him motivating me all the time. He's always like, "Yeah, we should do that. We should do that." And I just totally did it. but we put the gasoline in the super soaker. But what we didn't account for is like in about 20 minutes.
It melts.
It'll melt
all
the plastic.
Like
the gasoline will. So it'll start leaking like a sieve.
Oh, yeah.
So
just the gasoline.
Even the barrel was
like
just
you've got like half a gallon of freaking gasoline on that thing, and we're lighting it. And I mean, I'm literally doing that. And we managed to get it to work, especially right at first, that I had the time to spell my name in the front yard and have
we were
in
a neighborhood in a front yard doing this.
Oh, boy.
No,
this was like
close
daytime.
neighborhood. Yeah, and we burn it and
wasn't
had my
Chris
name
Phillips
in
there for that one?
Chris Phillips was there for that one.
Yeah.
Shout
you
out
need any
to-
real
shout out
estate
to
in this
Chris
area? Chris Phillips is your man.
Look, let's.
He
give a
no
shout out to
longer
Chris
messes with
Phillips right now.
flamethrowers.
Absolutely
He
not.
doesn't do that.
No.
He will be your man to get you a nice property without my name spelled on it.
Yes, and definitely not in flames.
You remember your mom running outside? While we had the
she
front,
ran out. She was yelling at me, and I was like,
we had the
"No,
front
no,
yard
no."
pretty much on fire, and his mom runs out screaming, and he shoots the flame at her foot. Like,
the fuck?
and she goes running back inside.
At that point, I had godlike control, and there was no stopping. And look, you don't get that very often. You don't get that very often as a child, and I can tell you,
Fucking psychopath over
It
here.
was-
Like,
it
Mom,
was-
if you don't go back in the house, I'm going
and-
to catch you on fire.
and 10 years later, I was a firefighter.
You are
There it is. And it comes full circle.
It goes full circle.
the natural progression. It was,
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah, no, I did. I shot it at her. And I'll tell her I'll do it again.
Do you remember us going to the movies with him when we were like younger? And we were all in the back seat, and Colby's just over there laying down next to us, and he's kicking the back seat like while we're on the way to the movies, and his mom's just like bouncing back and forth, like can't even drive, and he's like yelling at her the whole time, and me and you were just like looking at each other like, what is going on here? Like,
This woman is going to murder this child.
She was too sweet, yo.
Colby's mom's
She
a
was
saint.
too sweet.
Hey.
you were a problem child. You were
I
the
was a
kid off the
victim.
movie.
I was a victim of a too nice mother. I was a victim of a too nice mother, and I had to act out.
Linda
a little
is a-
bit.
Linda
I mean,
is a
but
saint.
she is a
Didn't you
saint.
fill her car with water one time?
No, okay.
playing
No. Okay, now wait a minute. Now
not
wait a
the
minute.
inside, like the tank.
No.
Like you were
What-
playing gas station,
No,
or
what happened was, I actually for one time was not annoying my parents, and I really did full throttle wanted to go out there and detail their cars. I went out there. I was really young. And
He was like 15, bro.
no, I was like 8 or 9, like literally.
I remember I moved over to that neighborhood when I was 7, and I remember
Right.
hearing that story like of it happening before I moved over there.
No, it did happen.
So I mean, you
was
had
like-
to be
we
like
were-
maybe
we were like
6.
9 or 10. But here's the thing that I didn't realize. I mean, think about it. Like, what 9 or 10 age person would actually know this? So I backed out. Well, I say I backed out. That makes me sound like I'm older. But they backed out the car. And like I washed the whole car and I detailed it really good. I vacuumed out the inside. It was really nice, man. And then I was like, man, I'm cleaning up this stuff. I'm gonna clean up. I popped the hood. I knew how to do that, and washed underneath the hood, which was probably a bad idea, especially into the air. I mean, looking back, I didn't know. I was trying to dirt. And
The
then
time
I
we
was
did
like,
that to the fire turd.
I was like, well, saying like what also you need to clean. is, I mean, the inside of the engine. I mean, like, it's dirty too. So I was like, well, I can't really wash that, but what I can do is just rinse out the gas tank.
Yeah.
And I just literally,
what you got to do from time to time.
Thank God.
In all fairness,
Hey, if you're not rinsing out your gas tank every now and then, what are you doing? You're a terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
car
you better
owner.
be changing your blinker fluid.
Yeah.
You better be washing out the inside of your gas tank. But and luckily, the neighbor across the street who worked on cars was like, that's not right. And he comes walking over there, and he's like, yeah, he just put a whole bunch of water in there.
Oh, no.
And
Didn't they have to turn the car on its side?
Well, they had to lift up, like literally, they had to almost lift it up to the side. I think they drained most of it out, and they didn't actually drop the gas tank. My granddad was an amazing mechanic. He could do all kinds of crazy stuff, but he figured out a way to jack it up almost literally on its side and drain it all out. I mean, they got it all out. And long story short, luckily they didn't
Colby
crack
just
the
said
car.
that.
No,
Colby just said that like it
trouble.
wasn't the biggest inconvenience of all time.
No, it wasn't. No, I was literally mad. I was like sitting in my room. I was like, see what I try to do when I try to do something nice. I try to do something fucking nice. And this is what I deal with. I'm grounded down.
I bet the inside was clean though.
No, it was so fucking
was
clean.
He
It was
cleaned
so
the
clean.
shit out of that
Cleaned
gas
the
tank.
shit out of that gas tank.
Oh man, we had some. We had some shenanigans with cars too. Chad had
my God.
Chad had an old
Cougar.
Nissan Sentra.
A 91 Nissan Sentra.
And
If I ever see a car like that again, I'm buying it. I just want one.
Yeah, you are.
A two-door Nissan Sentra.
like
That
a-
thing was like a go-kart.
was it a 4-speed,
It
5-speed?
was a 4-speed,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
didn't have power or anything. It was
It was called the
seriously
Marshmallow.
like
Yep.
a go-kart.
One time,
It was called the Marshmallow.
And we treated it like a go-kart.
one
we
time,
did.
I'm pretty
bruh.
sure everybody learned how to drive stick in that
did.
car.
Yep,
We
absolutely,
did.
absolutely.
When your dad brought that thing home, you were not even legal to drive it yet. Like it was literally, it was coming up. It was your birthday. It'd be a little beater. We were gonna be able to drive around. It was gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I got it a couple weeks before my 16th birthday.
you did,
and we
and-
parked it in the side yard.
Yeah. And well, he had it parked in the side yard, and the first time he had ever touched behind a wheel of a car, he's trying to figure out how to do it.
I'd been behind the wheel of a car, but
Okay,
I was
maybe
learning to
what-
drive a
he
stick
was
shift at that point.
So he's
And you come over to check it out, and I was kind of trying to show out for you.
and I was kind of instigating it. I mean, it was just one thing fed another.
Yeah.
And so we got in the car. I'll never forget the fear in your eyes.
Oh my god!
So he gets-
I'm having an
he
anxiety
gets-
attack right now
believe-
thinking about it.
So he's got the car parked over there, and I mean, like, it's strict rules. It's not, you can't drive this yet. I mean, I just got that for you. And
Yeah.
we at that was one of those. We're like, all right, we feel you, bro. We're gonna respect those wishes, and we just fucking couldn't. We just couldn't fucking do it. And he gets in the car, and cranks it up, and immediately gets it in first gear somehow, and
I popped a clutch or something, yeah.
dumps the clutch, dude. Goes tearing through the Hercules fence that's holding the dog in, and I mean, at that
The
point,
entire fence went down.
He's at this point he has taken his hands off of the steering wheel
no.
and is
Jesus, take
shaking
the
them
wheel.
like a woman catching the Holy Spirit, going, like yelling, and I yank the e-brake. We stop it. I'm in fucking survival mode right now. We're fucked, you guys. Look, this is gonna be my ride to freaking. This is gonna be my ride. We got to get this fixed right now.
It was freedom
And he's
for
like,
all
I
of
don't
us.
know what to do. I don't know what to do. I was like, get out of the fucking car, and I got in there and I fucking put it in reverse. We got the thing backed up. The fence was fucked. The fence was so
I remember
fucked.
this.
And
I wasn't there,
backed
but I remember.
I got it somehow. I got it backed up. I didn't even really know how to.
I
drive
remember
this thing.
I'm sitting in the car still, and you
He's
walk up
so
to the
upset.
fence, and you just kind of like
And,
lift it up,
dude,
and you just kind of
dude,
set it into
I was
place.
I was in such Hercules mode because I mean those have like those like aluminum poles, holding up the Hercules fence, and I was in such adrenaline mode. I was like, "No, you will not take this car from me!" and I just bent the poles back up, and then I was like, "Look!" I looked back at him, and I saw a glimmer of hope. I saw like a moment of clarity, like we might get away with this. We might get away with it.
And we did.
And we did.
Yeah, we did.
We totally
he mentioned
did.
it like
We-
months later, but
Yeah, he
you
knew.
know,
He had to know.
there
He
was
had
no
to know.
evidence at that point.
So, no, dude, that car. I remember one time,
man.
after school one day, I was over at Brian Thomas's house. Rest in power, Brian Thomas.
Yeah.
And
Bless him.
and you were like, "Yeah, I'm coming over there. I'll come over there or whatever." And I'm sitting on the porch smoking a cigarette with Brian, and Chad comes rolling in. He's coming in hot. Like, I mean, like
The only way to come in.
to the point where I'm like, does he know you live here? Like, so he's going because he's going too fast. He cuts the wheel and hits the tree in Brian Thomas's front yard head on. Boom! And we're like, and then gets out of the car like, what's up?
Hits the alarm and shit.
We're like, Chad, what are you doing? He was in auto body class. He's like,
Yeah, he's like, fuck this shit, I can fix it.
well, he was like, I gotta have a project or whatever to work on. Just crashes into the tree, dude. And we're just and like, I remember like neighbors are like, what the hell? And it wasn't like I say, it wasn't like he was going 50 miles an hour.
No,
he was,
but I mean,
a solid 15, 20 miles an hour,
Right.
just into a tree, and was like, Jesus, it was amazing. Y'all remember that damn Chevette that Chris Phillips had?
Dude, do you remember was you in the car?
Yes,
I was in the
Remember?
front seat. My head broke the windshield.
Okay, so God damn it, all three of you were.
Yeah.
And I got hit with the subs.
I think it was all of us
Holy
and maybe
shit.
Eli Phipps. Was
Eli
in there.
Phipps was
Eli
in it.
Phipps was in there.
Which he has a podcast now, right?
he does. He does a horror podcast.
Yeah, in Nashville.
Nashville, yeah.
Shout that out.
Yeah, dude.
That's what I was trying to do.
Okay.
I don't know the.
We had
I think it's like
wreck.
Nashville horror,
Do you
maybe.
Do you remember that wreck, man? Like I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I was in the back seat on the right side,
And I was on the left.
behind you.
You were behind him.
Eli was in the middle.
And Eli was in the middle.
How the hell were we all in that damn
We were
car?
in a Chevette.
Was it Eli or
What?
Aaron?
It was
one of
Eli.
the Phipps brothers.
It was Eli.
It was Eli for sure. And so the thing is, I mean, what year model was that thing? Just to give people an
dude.
idea. Like it was like the older
70s, 80s?
Chevette.
or
Right. It
something?
was like it was the small Chevette and it was the hatchback. And he had like two 12s.
Yeah.
We all had two
in a-
12s back
we
then.
all had.
No,
I know.
That was the
Everything was low. Nothing was the high range at all.
No, yeah, I was the world's worst about that shit. But no, so he had a unsecured giant box of 12s back there, and he was, I mean, I love Chris, but he was excited about something just like I get, and he was talking to Chad. And I'll never forget it. Like, I mean, we're cooking a good 30 miles an hour down Chester Levee or 40.
Right after high
And
school.
Right after high school, just let out. We just all piled into the car. We were headed to somewhere, and we
Probably
we
Pizza
came
Inn
up-
or something. We used to
Probably
go-
probably Pizza Inn.
Yeah.
And so we're cooking. I mean, a good 30 or 40 miles an hour. And I mean, of course, I mean we're so deep. I mean, there's nowhere to sit. So I'm looking at McCaskill. And he's looking at me, but we're to the left, and we're looking forward, with a hard left look, and then Eli's sitting in the middle, and and Chad is talking to him, and he is clearly not looking where he's going. I mean, clearly, like for extended periods of time. And
Like he forgot he was driving.
He's deep
Like
in-
he was like, anyway.
He's deep in conversation, and you know what? I guarantee it was a good conversation.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
And I remember going, hey, and I'm tapping him on the back of the head because I'm literally like his head is right by my fucking head too because it's in the Chevette.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, and I had time to look at you and go, you ready? And we leaned against the back of the seat,
Yeah.
and braced for impact. And I said, dude, you're about to have a wreck. And he had enough fucking time to say, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not about to have a wreck. I'm not about to have a wreck at all. What are you talking about? He's looking at me now. These fucking idiots not even looking at the road. And Chad goes, you're about to have a wreck.
Yeah.
And we had a wreck.
Yeah.
And like Chad busted his head.
Oh yeah, I was wearing a baseball hat backwards, and I think
Yeah.
that was the only thing that saved me.
Yeah.
As my head just flew up, hit the windshield, and I just looked up, and it was all spider web.
Yeah, dude.
You spider webbed the glass and got like a little small cut, but then we all bailed. We were like, we're not staying around for this.
No, my grandma drove by, and I was like, I just
we
jumped
all-
in the car with
we-
her.
yeah,
I think a few
yeah,
of us
no,
did.
Yeah, I was like, all right, well, I guess it's something you got to deal with now. 'Cause
I
you just
forgot about that part.
Literally ran over everybody.
Do you remember when Nathan McKenzie got his face ran over?
Yes. Fell out of the truck or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
And was just like, I'm good. We're like, yeah.
He was riding with David Blackwood,
In
and
that
his
old blue truck.
and his backpack was in the back of the truck, and he was trying, like, some papers or something were coming out, and he was gonna like be funny and reach out of the window and to the back of the truck.
Was he
and
trying to
fix
get
his-
out? Was he trying to like
climb out.
Transition.
He was
to-
I think he was just trying to reach into the
Okay.
bed from what I remember.
Okay.
And they hit a bump. He falls out of the truck, and then the back
God.
tire runs over his head.
Yeah.
Completely, just like a speed bump. Just boom. And all it did, he had like 3 stitches.
It's only
It's only funny because he's alive, you guys.
yeah. It's only funny because it didn't smash his fucking head. Because we were like, what the fuck? Look at these- Remember? You know when you're really injured, but you're trying to act like you're not injured.
I'm okay.
I'm good. No, I'm fine. I'm good. And he's like bleeding, and you're just like,
But it was like, it just like cut his eyebrow a little bit.
Yeah.
How?
dude, that is insane.
He's like a what is it? EOD, explosives ordnance disposal, and like
the Navy, maybe?
one of the services.
Yeah, you've been doing that for a hot minute.
Yeah. You see, the thing is about that. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe we
we're
shouldn't
gonna-
talk about that.
Off air.
I don't know that. Yeah,
Off air conversation.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to speak about that. But I mean, I
We should
remember that was
definitely
something
not talk about brake fluid and socket.
Right.
But
right.
since
we should totally not do
Drano
that
and
because,
tinfoil.
I mean, the Bemis bombers still are at large.
Yeah.
and so
I think
but
that might be an open case still.
You,
so
you guys, yeah, it is. So you guys should tell the segue into that with
Yeah.
Nathan McKenzie.
So Nathan McKenzie.
I wasn't there, so y'all talk about it. I'm gonna go take a pee.
Yeah. So Nathan McKenzie, and Nathan, I hope you get to listen to this, man. It was a great time. So Nathan got a car. So for a while he had that El Camino. You remember that like maroon?
I had forgot completely about it.
And I don't know if that's before or after the Thunderbird, but either way,
Well, we were seniors for that trip, so
or juniors. Were we
I want to say we were seniors.
maybe so. Yeah. Okay. So I think it was our senior year
because we were all 18 at that point.
Yeah.
I think.
So senior year, I wasn't because we were still in school, and I didn't turn 18 until the end of the school year.
yeah.
So, he had a 1977 or 78 Thunderbird, and for those who don't know what that car looks like, it's as long as a house.
Yep.
And it's a 2-door, but that doesn't matter because the door is literally like
18 feet long.
Yeah. And it had an 8-track player in it.
Yeah.
And we had a Charlie Pride 8-track.
It was a lead sled.
Yep.
Literally.
So-
just huge.
We decide we want to go see the Red Hot Chili Peppers in Little Rock, Arkansas. So this would have been 1999 or early 2000.
Yeah.
One of the two.
That sounds about right.
And then our
The
parents,
Foo Fighters opened
The
for
Foo
them,
Fighters
right?
did open
Yes.
for them.
And who else?
What a show.
What was the other band?
Bicycle Thief.
Yep.
Bicycle Thief. And I don't know who they are.
I don't
know if
either.
they're
We should
still
look
around.
them up and see if they're still around.
See if they made it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually going to look that up on
and our
Spotify
parents,
right now.
it was a school day, and our parents were like, we convinced our parents to let us skip school to drive to Little Rock, Arkansas at age 17 and 18
That's dope.
to see the Chili Peppers at the Barton Coliseum is what the name of it was. So we all pile up in this 1977 Thunderbird, and oh wow, they're still around.
1,000 monthly listens, but
Yeah, hey, Bicycle Thief is still around. Check them out. So we pile up in this 1977 or 78 Thunderbird, whatever it is, and I'll try to find a picture from the trip because I still have them somewhere to post for the episode.
that epic picture where we're standing on the hood.
Yeah,
and,
we're
I
all-
think I'm holding a toothbrush.
Yeah, and so we all pack up and we drive to Little Rock in a 1977 Thunderbird. On the way there, we have a flat tire. You remember that part?
I did not remember
So
that part.
on the way there, we had a flat tire, but back then it didn't matter because there was no such thing as a donut
Yeah.
for a 1977 Thunderbird. It just
Yeah.
had a full-size spare tire.
Right.
So we
Because
fixed
it was
that.
a full size trunk.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we repair that. We're like, all right, no setbacks. Let's do this. We get to Little Rock that night or that afternoon, and we're like, let's find this Coliseum. And I'm pretty sure I'm getting this right. The Barton Coliseum, I think, is the name of
Yeah,
the.
back
don't
then you
remember
had
that
to
at
you had
all.
to print out maps.
Oh yeah, it was MapQuest for sure.
MapQuest,
Yeah, no, yeah,
yeah.
Again,
Had directions.
before
Great-
internet,
great
before
point.
smartphone.
Great point, Josh.
But so we make it there and we get to the Barton Coliseum, and dude, it is like in the middle of a rough ass fucking neighborhood.
Right.
Like, and we know we're on the right track because we're like, okay, there's a huge line of cars trying to get to the parking area of this place.
Right.
And dude, it's like people are like out on their porch, like, what the fuck are y'all doing out? And we're just like, So we're like, where is this fucking place at? So we find our way. We finally get there. The cool thing about this show was it was like all general admission. There was no like,
Right. So
there was
it's a
no
common
seating.
area. It's a common area.
So
Gotcha.
and it is an arena in the sense that there's floor space and then there's seats.
Right.
So we go and get some seats, but then we're like, well, we'll go down there or whatever later.
Right.
So the show starts. Bicycle Thief starts up, and we're like, whoever this is, whatever. The Foo Fighters come on, however, and I may be misremembering this, but I think the Foo Fighters actually won that show because of their energy. Like the Chili Peppers were great.
They were killer back in the day.
But
one thing I remember about the Foo Fighters show more than anything is Dave Grohl coming out and talking about the song that he had just recently wrote by himself, and they didn't even know it as a band yet. And he sat out with his acoustic guitar and he played that Learning to Fly song.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard it before, but yeah, that was like when he was like working
they hadn't
out
released
the,
they hadn't released that album yet.
I wanted to go
because
to that
Color in
show,
the they were probably still playing. They were probably still just playing all the stuff off of Color in the Shape.
Yeah.
So, which was an amazing album.
Absolutely.
So we get there, and there's this one part of the show where Grohl they're jamming out, and he like runs off stage, and the rest of the band is just jamming.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, like people are like going nuts, and he's like in the crowd, like running around and like whatever.
Nice.
Then he disappears again. And he comes back on stage. Like, this is like 8 minutes later. Comes back on stage and he has a giant thing of cotton candy and like a huge and like a huge beer, like a 44-ounce beer. And I'll never forget why. And I don't know why, but everybody flips their shit. And he just yells, "I just stole some cotton candy from that motherfucker in the hallway." And you're like, yeah. And so
This is what rock and roll's
Oh
about.
my fucking
so and then obviously we're loving it, and then the Chili Peppers come on and fucking own. And at this point, Chad's like, "I'm going down on the floor." We're like, "Hell yeah!" And I was like, "I'm staying up here," and you and a few others. So the whole trip was me, you,
Brian Taylor,
and Nathan. Was it just us four?
I thought it was just us four.
It
Maybe.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you and Nathan went down on the floor.
Yeah.
And me and Brian stayed in the seats. And you're like, I'm gonna go crowd surfing. And we're like, okay, man.
Yeah.
And he fucking did. And I look up at one point and Chad gets fucking tossed like a rag doll.
Yeah.
Like
He'll get after it, man.
somersaults through the air. We're like, I think that's Chad. You know? And then he shows back up. We finally link back up with him. And dude, his like shirt is like ripped off of him.
Yeah, dude.
Were you missing a shoe or some shit? Like
I don't remember. I
but it was-
remember slightly getting trampled.
Yeah, but you were very disheveled. Your shirt was ripped off. It was like, Jesus, what is going on?
Yeah.
And so the concert was great.
It was wild up there.
It was super cool. I mean, dude, I'm 17. I mean, all of us are 17 and 18 years old.
Right.
And we leave. Dude, we have zero planning for this trip, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we did not have reservations
Well,
for
you're
a
fucking 18.
hotel or anything.
Like,
so we start driving back.
ride
And we're
that
like,
shit out.
we're like, we need to get a hotel or whatever. We stop, dude. We stop at this place, and it is bad. It's like a shitty motel, and not even like it's not even multi-floored. It's just
It's
one.
a motel, which is like a 3-story or under.
No, well, this is one.
No. This was like one story, like
so
a long line.
So a motel is 3 stories or under.
And
like it was a single
and the doors
run.
and the doors to the room are on the outside.
Yeah.
That's the distinction.
So
Yeah.
you can. So yeah,
It's
you
like
can,
it's like the motel over on Highland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The
So-
shitty one that's been there forever.
Yeah.
And we get there,
exactly.
and it's like an Indian family, I think, that
Yeah.
runs the place. And we get the room or whatever.
Weren't we
and
like the only people there?
It felt like, I think so. Like, we were literally the only car in the parking lot. It's
Yeah.
We're
like,
the only non-meth dealers there.
but I don't remember. I don't think there was any other cars.
No, yeah.
So we get in there, and like the room is sketch as hell, dude.
Right.
And I remember being like, I'm going to take a shower, or somebody was like, I'm going to take a shower, and being like, holy shit. And we're like, what, dude? This is a spider in this fucking tub.
Oh, God.
It's like it looks like a fucking tarantula, and I'm probably misremembering. It was probably just a fucking little
Right.
whatever. But
no, at
wasn't
the
there a
time,
thing?
though.
Wasn't there a thing with like the shower head came off and like. I don't remember. It was just a terrible fucking room. Right. And like they kept coming and asking if we needed towels. And we're like, motherfucker, we just got here.
We just killed a spider and fucking the shower head came
Like
off.
they're just excited that someone's at the hotel at this point. And so we finally we're on our way back the next morning. We get up, we're like, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And we start driving back. Now this is where it gets
Deadly.
terrifying but hilarious later. Yeah. So Nathan is driving this 1977 Thunderbird, which, as you can imagine, has a giant blind spot. Giant.
So you would have had to be in the front seat, right?
No, yes,
Because
I was in the front
in
seat
the back seat with Brian Taylor.
Yes,
yeah.
I was in the front passenger seat. Nathan's driving.
I was right behind Nathan.
Yes, and Brian's behind me. Well, Nathan goes to pass someone. He's in the right lane.
Right.
Goes to pass someone. He does his mirror check. starts to go over, and all of a sudden it's like we get hit.
Well, hold up. Pause there just for a second. We're sitting in the back seat, me and Brian Taylor, and I remember looking over at him, and he's buckled up, and I'm not buckled up. And I start fucking with him and unbuckling his seatbelt, just messing with him.
I do remember
I keep hitting it, and he's like, stop doing that, whatever, right? So we're all laughing and stuff, and like,
fucking death.
if you remember, like, if you've ever seen one of those old Thunderbirds, like they have those little bitty triangle windows.
Yeah,
it's like a
in
little
the
small
back.
window in the back that like you can
Quarter
barely
glass,
see out.
Absolutely.
And so I look over just kind of to glance over, and I see a semi wheel.
Yeah.
Right there, and all of a sudden that semi wheel is getting really close, really fast,
geez.
and that cuts into what you were just talking about. He was trying to swap lanes and completely just sideswipe this diesel going 70 something miles an hour.
Yeah, and if you've ever seen a police officer do, what do they call it, the 3-point maneuver thing?
Yes.
We essentially did that to ourselves.
Right. You
It
got
hit
the
the front tire kind of hit the back of the vehicle, like right around that window, like I was talking.
Yep.
So it slid around to the front of the diesel, and the diesel starts pushing us down the interstate sideways.
Well, I mean, what normally would have killed? I mean, like this is just because I wasn't there, but what would normally would have just absolutely disintegrated as a vehicle nowadays? We're talking about 78 fucking T-Bird.
Yeah.
Like a diesel basically pitted that thing and pushed it for a hot minute.
Yeah, pit
apparently,
maneuver, that's
I
what it is,
don't even know what happened to them. Y'all went off the fucking
Well, like Chad said, now we're being pushed
right.
like T-bone
Sideways,
style
yeah.
by a diesel.
70.
And so obviously we're all like, oh shit. And it feels like forever. It's probably a few seconds.
Oh yeah,
But
And then we break free from the truck and we hit the median.
starts
Now,
spinning.
dude,
Remember the windows were down because
Yes.
there's just grass flying in everywhere.
So that was the thing, is like when we started sliding, it was like dirt and grass was just pelting the shit out of me, and I was like, and I thought we were flipping,
Right.
Because I couldn't tell what was
Right.
going on, and I remember us spinning or whatever. Did we end up just stopping in the median, or did
we stopped it. No, we ended up in oncoming traffic
Yes.
on the other side, but there was nobody coming.
luckily,
right.
And then
I thought y'all made it to the other street.
And
I
I
thought y'all made it into oncoming traffic
Yeah,
on the interstate.
and it doesn't. And I don't remember. I don't think the car died, luckily. But he gets back into the median
Right.
to get the fuck out of the way, and we're
Right.
just sitting there, and like our hair's all fucked up, dude. We're dirty as hell. And I remember the whole time, everyone's flipping out, but I never heard Brian Taylor
saying.
And I remember Chad being like, "Jesus Christ!" He's like, "We're all flipping out." He's like, "Brian's back here having," or no, it was you.
Yeah.
Brian was freaking out, and Brian Taylor was like, he's like, we almost died.
Brian,
And he's like, Chad's back here having tea and crumpets.
I remember that.
And so we
Fucking
get,
Zen master over there.
yeah.
and we get out of the car, and I'm expecting to see like mad damage to the car.
There's nothing.
Dude, there's a fucking
I remember
scratch.
seeing
Like a
the
ding
car.
in the quarter panel.
I saw the car, and I could vouch for what they're saying. And they were like, "Look, we had a wreck." And I was like, "You mean you got did you get stuck in the mud? Like, because there's mud. That's about it."
Yeah.
There's
But it's like right above the rear fender
We
wheel.
drove the car home.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
drove
I mean,
it
it
on.
was
We
totally
get
drivable.
stopped in the median, and I remember the truck driver like pulls over immediately. He comes running, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, and we're like, "Yeah, man, shit."
It didn't hurt the diesel either,
Nope.
did it? Yeah.
Nope. And he's
Oh,
like,
no, because it's a
of
goddamn
course-
18-wheeler.
and of course he's like, he's relieved that no one's hurt,
yeah,
everybody's
right,
good.
right, right.
But then he's like, "Y'all gotta watch out, motherfucker, shit." We're like,
It's like a little late now, bud. A little
we're
late
like, yeah.
now.
And then the cops have to come and all that, and like I remember the highway patrol guys like,
Yeah.
"Y'all are supposed to be in school." We're like,
Oh yeah. 'Cause we had skip school to go, didn't we?
y'all skipped,
because it was like on a the show was like on a Wednesday or Thursday,
Yeah.
and so it was like a weekday, And he's like, "Aren't y'all supposed to be in school?" We're like, "Yeah," but all of our parents
we're
knew,
not dead.
but all of
They're
our
different in Tennessee.
yeah, all of our parents knew we were skipping or whatever, so it wasn't like we were freaking out about that. But everything was good. But dude, it was like that. Everything happens, and like it feels like it's just happening forever. And it was all within like 5 seconds or some shit. But man, we hit that thing, and like I said, we were being pushed down the fucking road. And
Dude, we could literally sit here and have conversations about all the wrecks we've had.
Oh, dude.
together. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of fucked up. We can have a whole episode just on wrecks.
we might save that.
like
We might do
fucking-
that. We'll have the
shit.
auto
Have a
incidents.
Rex episode.
Well, no, we do it just like what I'm saying. If we do future stuff or whatever, just be like, remember that wreck, and like it'll just be a thing.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. I've only had one personally from driving.
Right.
But I've been in the car with people who've had wrecks multiple
God,
times.
so many times.
I was in the car with David Blackwood one time. We got rear-ended on 45. We were trying to turn off a 45, like kind of where like Walmart and all that shit is now.
Yeah.
In South Jackson. Yeah. But before it was there, so like in that little area going towards going towards Norton Hill and all that stuff.
Exactly what you're talking about.
But yeah, dude, man,
dude.
Anybody, share any stories with us on our social media with crazy vehicle stuff, wrecks.
I mean, the stupid stuff that we've done. Literally, I mean, like we had to have a serious conversation and be like, "There's nothing we're going to say that's incriminating at this point, right?" I mean, we've got because we got a lot of stuff we can sit down and talk about over the years. And the thing is, like, it's like I want to make sure that we're not incriminating. But I mean, I think there's only like 2 or 3 things that we can't really talk about.
Well, there's some stuff that we used to do that was highly illegal.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it was.
But we
were ridiculous. We're kids, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
we actually went to court for one of them. But we won't really get into that on this one. But give people a little taste there.
But touching back on the wrecks and stuff, I'll never forget. Like one of the worst ones that was very similar to what you guys experienced. We all like it was a thing. And I mean, I think we all did it. It's like, especially in high school, your first day into high school that you were officially supposed to be there.
Yeah.
We would always skip that to quote unquote get the year started off right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like as long as we met our grades up and things like that. But we would always skip the first day. It became like this kind of like heritage thing that we just did. And I'll never forget we used to skip and go to the little pool hall.
Yeah, buddies.
Like buddies, man.
Yeah, downtown.
Like we'd do that, and we would try to smoke cigarettes and things like that. And
they didn't give a shit.
They didn't give a shit. Like it was the only place we could buy cigarettes at like literally like fucking 16 and 17 because you could pull you could just get.
You know where else we used to buy cigarettes?
Where's that?
The Waffle House in that little foyer.
The Waffle House, yes, in the foyer. Absolutely.
And then also,
100%.
I don't remember her name. Maybe it was like Peggy or whatever at Texaco.
Yeah, Peggy at Texaco.
She would sell us cigarettes.
Man, I remember Peggy.
I remember Peggy now.
Do you remember Peggy?
Yeah.
Shout out Peggy for selling the cigarettes.
Peggy,
appreciate you for allowing kids to get cancer. We appreciate you.
Thanks for all those memories. And they, we skipped, traditionally, and we went to Buddy's, and everybody kind of hung out like it became this thing at Southside, and we were going to, I want to say we were going to Milan for something. I don't remember. Like somebody lived there, and we were like 4 or 5 deep. And Ben, I can't remember his last name, bless it, but like Ben was taking us, and remember the twins.
We were skipping school that day.
Was you with me and Ben?
I was in the truck.
Perfect.
Yeah, when we took all those signs down.
When we took this.
That was no. See, whatever year that was
yes.
of school, it was the first day of school, and we all were like, "Hey, it'd be funny if we all skipped the first day."
So
we all skipped.
So just so y'all know, Chad just went to the bathroom. He missed all of what I just said about the fact that we skipped school on the first day, and it was a traditional thing, and we were skipping school.
My bad, guys.
No, it's okay. No, but no, I didn't even realize that you were in the front seat on that one.
I don't know if it was. I remember. Yeah, I don't remember if I was in the front seat or not. But I
think
remember
I found the problem. Chad. Chad's the fucking problem.
It seems to be the common denominator in all things.
I don't know.
Negative.
No. There was a time though.
You got in trouble in high school for hanging out with me one time.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah.
But their serious business is if something happened at Southside High School between the years of like 97 and 2000. Like we were definitely on the radar. Like our group of friends.
They'd always come with me with that shit, man.
In
and
some capacity.
I'd sit down and be like, man, I'll serve my nickel, man. Let me talk to my lawyer. And like it was that.
Colby, one time escaped from ISS, which was one of the funnier things.
Colby was famous for jumping out of windows.
When you jumped out that window.
Okay, well, listen. to be fair.
It took you like half the period to get the window open.
There was 2 windows that I would leave from. Okay. And one of those was Mr. Thomas's ISS, which I had an assigned seat in the back. Yeah. Because I was always there.
And then English class.
And the thing
what
was
with
her
Mr.
name? Thomas, that's Miss Gordon.
Was it Gordon?
Miss Gordon, the sweetest woman ever. that knew me, knew my family, and things like that. I mean, she was the coolest teacher.
She knew what she was getting
period.
into.
No, she was the coolest teacher, and I mean, she got into the whole like, man, this is all just power grab shit, that we would all preach back in the days. Like, man, yeah, and then like. And the only time I ever did it from there, but I would look with Mr. Thomas, man, fuck him. He was ridiculous. and like, I mean, he was so goddamn oblivious to everything. I mean, like, they literally were like, man, Mr. Thomas, there's a lot of things you can do at our school. But here's what you're gonna do, and that's gonna be ISS. And I mean, the guy was ridiculous. But like, I would literally, like it was right by the window. I would just lift the window, and I would leave, and I'd go to Wendy's and have a Frosty, and come back.
I remember being in there one time. Remember they had the dumbass walkie-talkies with the stupid fucking nicknames like Hawk 1 to Hawk 2.
Hawk 1 to Hawk 2.
And I remember they called into him one day. They're like, you got a Colby Brewer, and he looks up, and you're not in the room, and he's like, oh, and she like,
did he go to the bathroom?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't know.
Yeah,
like, he was so oblivious.
They were like, we're sending him back your way, and it's just like, he's just going to escape again. What are you doing?
He's clearly an escape artist.
It's not an escape. It's an exodus from an undesirable place.
Exactly.
It's a liberation.
It's a liberation.
So to shift gears a little bit, and kind of probably going to wrap up. I'm not sure where we're at, but probably we've been doing it for a minute. So anyway, we could go on forever. We talked about this before. We could go on forever.
It's gonna be a tangent.
But we kind of talked about messaging back and forth before we did this thing about video games. And Chad, you said you've been kind of playing some retro stuff lately. So
yes, I have.
What have you been into?
Well, here lately, I don't know. You might have seen it online, but Mario 3 had its 30th anniversary.
Oh, nice.
And when Mario 3 came out, I know you guys remember how big of a deal that was.
Oh yeah,
Wizard, dude.
The Wizard did it.
Man.
And so I've been going back through Mario 3 here lately.
Are you playing it on an emulator, or are you doing?
Yeah, on Switch.
Okay. Oh yeah, okay.
Switch on the online has the NES and the SNES emulators that are awesome.
As long as you've got the Nintendo subscription.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like $20.
Mine's over there.
It's super cheap.
On the desk.
We literally just downloaded that. I mean, on his recommendation.
And it's got the little suspension mode, which makes things so much less frustrating.
Yep. So
yeah, exactly.
So like a save file almost?
You can save it, and then the thing
is,
it
literally just suspends it exactly where you were.
Yeah, that's
or you can actually rewind. So if you
so
can
you
just
can
hold in
rewind,
both
so, like,
triggers and rewind back 5 seconds if you die or whatever.
That's dope.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I was actually talking about this the other day. Now, I like retro games, but there are some when I go back to. I can't play them anymore.
Yeah, they
man.
can suck our dick.
No. Are you talking about just way too hard?
Yeah.
Or just like it's like okay. So here's my progression in gaming, real quick. And I'm a nerd, and we haven't talked too much about gaming on the podcast, but we will a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, I growing up, we were pretty poor there for a while, and I mean, we were never rich by any stretch, but like we were pretty poor, so I didn't.
Video games were expensive. When
oh
they
yeah,
came out.
and I mean,
like
still
for
are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like
I had I didn't have a Nintendo right off the bat, but I had a hand-me-down Atari.
Yeah.
2600, like the very first one ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when I go back to try to play some of those games, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Like they're just bad,
Yeah.
And for the time it was like, this is groundbreaking and all that, but I can't.
Well, no, to be fair, even like here's the thing, like my granddad got an Atari and had a whole bunch of games that it was kind of like that was kind of like a thing that he kind of got into even at an older age.
Sure.
Like he got really into it,
yeah,
and kind of got obsessed with it and had a little money to throw around, and he bought one for himself, and had that. I remember having that as a kid or whatever. But even as a kid, touching on what you're saying, I remember playing a game. There was nothing to compare to. This was the first one.
Sure,
this was the shit, and I remember going.
Other than when
some of these kind of suck.
Yeah, on the top,
I mean, you know what I mean? Like, like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, how arrogant is that? But at the same time, like, they suck.
Adventure was just like your dude was a little square.
Yeah.
I remember really enjoying. It was like a tanks game on Atari.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
like,
the tanks.
Now, don't
game
get me
like
wrong.
battle the two
was
tanks.
fun.
Don't get me
That was
wrong.
the first 2-player game that I think ever really existed. You could bounce the little things off.
Well, I
the
mean, even the
sides.
first video game, Pong, it was still
Pong.
2-player. I've actually got a Pong system,
Right.
the original
you're
at the
right.
house.
No, shit. Yeah, you're right. Pong was literally the first game was 2-player.
So, But I mean, some things I can't. So, like the original Super Mario Brothers, I don't give a shit about ever playing that again. Like I really don't.
Yeah.
Mario
now,
3 is the first.
Now
one
Mario
that-
3,
Right.
absolutely.
Super Mario World on
Anything,
Super Nintendo.
anything on the Super
That was
Nin-
my main jam.
Yeah.
Not anything, but most things on the Super Nintendo, like
That's where it was at.
because
That
my
was our
favorite,
age
my
where we-
favorite game of all time is still Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
Well, Amy is literally playing Legend of Zelda, the original, which is on the emulator, and she's at level 5 right now. I mean, like, and having that backtrack whenever you get popped 3 or 4 times, and not having to reload everything. I mean, like, this is gonna and like Chad talked about earlier this week. It's like this is gonna allow us to go back and like what I started Super Metroid.
Yeah,
You know
I
what I'm
love
saying?
that
Like
game.
I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to beat it. You know, we actually have the ability, especially with that rewind. It is a little bit of cheating, but we're gonna beat games that we never got to beat.
Sure.
Not
and
only
that's
that,
really
you-
cool.
As adults, you don't have as much time,
Yeah.
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
To restart from a
Sure, you can.
Yeah, and so like it
well,
just
unless
I
you
mean,
guys,
in like Mario 3, if you die, it starts you completely over
Oh,
on that
yeah.
world. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
you can be at the castle and die, and you have to go do like 10
Dude,
levels again.
Yeah.
Or you can rewind 5
and
seconds.
there was something cool about that as a kid, right? Because then you really accomplished something when
Yeah.
you did it.
Right.
It definitely made you a lot more careful while you
Yeah.
were playing.
Right.
It made
Right.
you get better at the game at an increased rate. But the problem now is like I ain't got time to be fucking
well,
around.
there's also a lot of people say like a lot of people make the comparison. They're like, well, games aren't as hard now, and some of them are, some of them are not. But you have to understand that the games back then.
Fuck, if you played Cuphead,
oh yeah, I love that game. I love
they
that game.
definitely
I-
still
yeah,
make
yeah.
hard games.
But my
Yeah.
thing, but my thing is, games back then did not come out at the rate they come out now.
Yeah.
No,
right.
they don't.
So they
It
had to
takes-
last us.
It takes years
Yeah.
to compile this
Yep.
stuff, and this is going on what like it's a great segue into this because we're talking about hard games and stuff like that. I have been on an absolute obsession, 4 or 5 hours a day watching this, whether I'm doing work or whether I'm doing things. Escape from Tarkov.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys.
So
guys.
I'm just not. So if it's online PvP, I'm out because I'm just terrible at it.
Man.
Like I'm not good at it, and I never will be.
Is ridiculous.
So for me to get anything out of gaming, there has to be some progression.
Right.
And I love that the games are cool, but a buddy of mine, Matt Strickland, who I hope to get on the show, he was talking about that game and how complex it is.
It's you don't have to PvP. You can literally sneak in there and just play against some AI and do your thing and get out. Like I mean, we're talking about a game that has flea market that's nationwide. You go in and you collect things, but it's literally the game that we've always talked about, where it's like, what if they made a game where we could go in there and if you died for real.
Yeah.
Like it's the closest we've had to that.
There's several games out there like that now, too.
There is very similar, and like if you die, you lose everything in game unless you buy insurance.
See, I can't. So
Got insurance on this. Like I mean, just,
So here's
just
the thing,
live-
though.
Just live life.
this is where we differ. I think this is where we differ.
Yeah.
If I put in tons of hours into a game and I lost my shit, I would literally lose my shit. 'Cause I'm
Well,
not.
I mean,
I can't do
just,
it, man.
Just insure your shit.
Because my buddy, he plays Ark. Survival Evolved or whatever, and you literally start that game naked on a beach, and then you got to like craft
Yes,
shit.
yeah.
And the premise is awesome, but then he's like, people can raid your shit and just destroy it. And I was like, I would fucking lose it.
Lose
I
my
just,
shit.
I could, so
Right.
for me, I understand that there is a market for that.
Right.
It just ain't for me.
It's just
I
playing so slow.
can't do
And,
it.
and I mean, there's this balance. I just think it's really cool that they're blurring the lines between reality and what we're actually looking at through our own eyes in whatever that means with ones and zeros and stuff. Like, I mean, Chad pulled up a great point the other day. Like, he showed, like, I haven't watched the new fucking Lion King. Have you guys seen... Just watch the first.
I had to
opening
make it a point to
scenes.
show him. I mean, it's just.
I mean, dude, this is a computer simulation
Yeah.
that you have no ability to differentiate reality and what
See,
I mean. Like,
and I
they're
made fun
talking-
of that movie because like it's
Yeah,
beautiful,
right.
Yeah.
Right,
But
no,
also they
it's-
just
it's right.
reanimated an animated movie.
No,
yeah,
absolutely,
exactly,
Like,
yeah.
they're completely taking away from like the whole premise of the
Yeah.
movie. Like, what's so fucking freaky
Is
is
how
their
good it
their
is.
digital and their
Yeah.
ability to blur the lines on what we're all really looking at.
Sure.
It's all ones and zeros.
Oh, and
it's
give
in our
that 10
mind.
more years.
Right,
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be
exactly.
crazy.
I mean, it's like,
Oh, deepfakes are going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, well, No, I think we're.
And VR is going to take it to the next level too.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be dope.
I'm ready for the Ready Player One type shit.
Yeah,
let's do it. Like,
just on a couch, 800 pounds on a couch.
I'll live in the stacks. I'm ready.
It's a player within a player within a player, and I think this has been going on. It's a repeated thing that we've all been kind of experiencing, and I think that as we get older, we're starting to see that this has been happening for a while, and you can go on these whole tangents on that, and that'll be something we can touch on later. But like this is something that is obviously on repeat. It's why we all seem so familiar yet so far away.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a beautiful thing, but at the same time, it's kind of freaky to watch it transcend to the next level.
It comes with warnings, right?
What's also part of the reason why I'm doing this is so we can
we can document this shit.
We can sit in a circle and actually talk to each other.
Real life conversations.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but on the video game front, I've been replaying Hollow Knight again. I don't know if you know that game.
I'm not too familiar.
If you like the side scrolling,
I love platformer style.
So well, it's like it's platforming, but are you familiar with the term like Metroidvania style?
Is that the bug one?
So basically,
Is that the bug one?
There's like bug-like creatures in it, but so it's basically like in Metroid and Castlevania games, like you would get to a part and then there's like, I can't get through that door, but later you'll have the ability to get through. So it's like a side scroller and a platformer, but you have to revisit the old areas.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that setup. So they call those games Metroidvania games.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Hollow Knight is good. It's like $15 on Switch.
Yeah.
But really fucking it's a hard game.
Yeah, my son plays it, I think, and
it's called what now?
Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a beautiful game, and it was made by like one dude, right? Or like a very
small team. If not.
Like very very small team of guys, and they've released 2 or 3 downloadable things
and there's
that are free.
And there's a sequel coming out very soon too.
Yeah.
But I've been playing these. I never thought I'd be this guy, but I've been playing these like farm life sim thing, like Stardew Valley.
Oh no, dude! Like those things are so addictive.
Well,
and I mean, the simulators basically where like I mean, it's literally again going back to what we were talking about. It's like it's a convenient way to sit down and put in 8 hours and not break a sweat, but still have this feeling of gaining something,
being productive, right?
And being
with
productive.
Stardew Valley, it's one of those. It's a pixel like voxel style thing, and it was
which I love.
It was developed by one guy.
Yeah,
I love
and it's a farming sim.
Yeah,
and then there's like this. There's all these other elements to it.
It's a giant game, right?
But
it's
a very like casual game too. Like there's no like.
There's no pressure.
Yeah, you can just chill.
Exactly. The thing is, it's like if you don't put in your 8 hours that day, you're not going to starve to death.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it'll sit. I mean,
But I'm like I'm planting stuff. I'm like, I hope this is a giant pumpkin in this bitch. I get like, I'm like, I hope this is like a prize crop or whatever.
See, I never got into one of the newer ones, but Harvest Moon was always.
I
fucking loved Harvest Moon.
Yeah, I got into like that Facebook game, like what was it, like Weed Farmer or something, a bunch of years ago. Me and James Rowe, we got super into that.
That's great.
Hey, listen, one of the funny games because remember that was there was one that came out in the shit, guys. This was back probably pre stories that we've been talking about, like when my dad had the computer, when we were making the fake ID. Let's not talk about
that's
it.
for another.
That's an alleged.
No. I served my nickel for that. I'm good.
No?
I'm good on that. But but they had this game and it was kind of like you could grow pot and on this video game, and it was one of the first ones that came out that was like in real time.
Did your mom tell you to remove that from the computer?
No. The thing is that
very nonchalantly.
So this was exactly. This was at this point like where I figured out. I was like, okay, so you've got to give them the right amount of fertilizer. You're growing, you're farming, you're doing your thing, and you can do all these different strains or whatever, but you had to do it in real time, and I was a very impatient individual, and so I was like, oh, I can log into my Windows 98 and adjust the time.
Oh, yeah. That was a thing in a lot of games back then.
Exactly.
Baller
And like,
move.
I mean, like, and the thing was, like, I didn't read that on Reddit or anything like that. Like, I mean, I was so thirsty to figure out a way to make. I want to see what this planet looks like. You know, like, you know.
We used to play the shit out of.
Figure that shit out, dude. Grand Theft Auto, dude.
We used to play the shit out of Sim City.
Oh
Yeah.
man, we would kill it, dude.
You had that
SimCity.
on. You had that on SNES.
I had
think.
it on. We had
Or
it on
computer.
original. I think we had it on original.
Yeah, they had Sim City, Sim World, Sim Earth,
Yeah,
all of those.
like, and the thing was, like, my dad was not a video gamer. This was a generation of a guy that didn't play video
Yeah.
games.
He always had a
But
nice
he-
computer, though.
But
always.
no, he got obsessed with the original SimCity, and that sent him on a tangent of being a decent gamer. I will say that my old man, as distant as he is from like what that generation was about, that he can sit down and play it. Like, he got really big on the Age of Empires and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Like, I
That's
mean, like,
basically
it was
SimCity on
he
crack, yeah.
he found SimCity, and that was something that he has progressed and still to this day plays almost religiously in its own way, like these civilization games and stuff like that. He probably knows more about
Those
that
are
shit than
crazy.
I do.
So I tried to get into those a
they're-
little bit, the Age of
yeah.
Empires stuff, and there's this
Yeah.
YouTube guy, and he's like, how to get the best start in Age of Empires 2 or whatever it's doing.
Right,
And dude, this guy's like, he's done the math so hard that he's like, now in the first 12 seconds you need to do this, and if you let it go to 13, you're going to miss out on an extra farmer. And I'm like, I cannot. No,
can't.
I'm like, no.
It's too
Well,
much.
that is
I get anxiety.
absolutely.
I don't like games when they have too much going on.
And
like
those
that.
are called like 4X, like sim things. There's
Right.
all this stuff going on.
So much
For me,
going
it's
on.
like, I'm gonna plant my pumpkins, bro. Like, you know.
Well, that's
I'm
one
gonna get
reason
that
that I
super
love.
pumpkin.
And Colby is too. I'm huge into Overwatch. I've been
Oh, yeah,
playing
yeah, yeah.
Overwatch for like 3 years. I love it.
Yeah, it's a
And
good game.
But it's a super simple game. You
Sure.
know, there's not a lot of campaigning. Everything's basically the same.
Yep.
You know, you don't upgrade your guy too much. You know, it's just pretty much every
super
upgrade you get
complex
is
in its own
cosmetic.
way. Exactly.
But-
It's super complex in its own way, and the complexity comes into how you
Well, it's
how
one
you
of those-
perform your actions
It's easy
with
to
your other people.
easy to step into,
Right.
difficult to master kind of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you can casually get in there and
Barrier
have fun.
to entry is low,
'Cause
but
I've-
master's really
Yeah, because
high.
I've played it and I like the game, but I'm not that good.
Yeah.
Like I'll have
You just
got to
find your right character
Yeah.
or characters. I mean,
I'm like
they're-
I like the support characters a lot. That's like a thing.
I've been
I like.
playing a lot of support lately just because they've been offering free loot boxes too. But
they-
I actually enjoy it. I didn't think I would, but I love being a healer.
Yeah, yeah.
No, yeah, it's very fulfilling because I mean, like, you get those thumbs ups.
Yeah.
you do. Like, I mean, because when you do a good support like person and you really perform it correctly. I mean, dude,
Well, because you have to play that. If you pick that part, you have to play that part.
Play that part.
Like if
And
you go in there,
you're
trying
not
to,
out there
yeah.
attacking. I'm a very aggro player, so I play a lot of DPS and stuff like that. I started learning Junkrat and stuff like that. I really pushed that player. And I mean, like, I played him.
Those damn
like you're
those
supposed
damn
to.
mines or whatever.
Dude,
Yeah.
well, you're supposed to hit them from a distance and arc things, dude. I mean, I'm constantly standing on top of people, jumping up and down. Like, I'm literally blasting the floor and doing like a hard push. I mean, I can't help it. Symmetra is my new jam. Like, I mean, I can get those turrets up and we can get kills out of them.
What do you
anything with a
guys
turret.
playing on Xbox or?
Xbox,
play on
yeah.
Xbox,
I've got it on
yeah.
PC. I might buy it on Xbox.
I have it on
just to play with
PC
you.
too, but I never play it.
I was gonna say I might jump on the Xbox version.
I'm
just to-
fixing.
It's
I'm,
fun.
I'm
We play
literally-
online a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
fixing.
Overwatch 2 is coming out
Can we
sometime
talk
soon.
about the progression about how games used to the greatest of games could only be played on the PC, and now you can pretty much cross-platform just about anything.
Yeah.
As
Well,
far as the quality of the play, right?
You can, and like, there's a few games, like, especially when it comes to this kind of thing, that it's like where there's cross platforms and you have like PlayStation and Xbox trying to play and compete with PC. And I mean, like, look, man,
It's almost no
man,
contest.
Well, it's all
there's-
kind of morphing
there's
into one
no
anyways.
Yeah.
contest.
Well,
I mean, PC
what he's
is
talking
gonna
about,
win
what he's talking
all the
about.
time.
So I think you're kind of talking about two different things though, because what he's saying is the quality of the game is still
Oh no!
there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like Fortnite,
If
that's like
any,
that was like amazing.
But
game.
any shooter on a PC,
it's just
you're
it's
gonna
just
get
money.
owned
just
by
money.
PC
Oh yeah,
players.
definitely. Their
100%.
response time is
Yeah,
so much
100%.
faster.
I mean, like, well, the thing is, it's like, what I mean, like, ultimately, what you have is a mouse where I can muscle memory point to that head every time.
And
Now,
I'm a guy who
Yeah.
I prefer a controller
Yeah, me
personally
too.
because I like
Oh,
to just chill.
absolutely do.
But
I
even on
can't.
on PC, I'll like
Yeah.
hook my controller up and people will be like, "You're a noob," and I'm like, "Whatever, man." Like,
Yeah.
No, fuck that. Well, I'm fixing to move to PC just because I gotta get into Tarkov. I'm not gonna lie. I gotta get.
I built that one over there
Yeah.
about a year
I got a
ago, and
computer I
love it.
will sell you.
All right, that's fine. I got
Yeah.
a buddy that'll send me some parts from Canada. It's gonna be nice. I mean,
If you need any help putting anything together, let
I
me
don't
know.
want
I'll
to
help
buy.
you.
I don't want to buy your PC because I swear to God, I'm gonna get you on Tarkov.
You know, I had Bart build me one a couple years ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Shout out, Bart.
Killed
Yep.
it, dude.
I'm gonna have him
Killed
on the.
it.
I'm gonna have. I built that
Bart
one.
would make
it.
a great guest.
I built that one
Yeah.
about a year. year and a half
that
ago?
one's fucking money.
So, but
over
yeah,
there.
yeah, Bart's he's the man. and
But
we'll get him on here.
like I really do believe like it's all kind of morphing into one, and you can tell if you're looking like at like the new Xbox. It even it looks like a computer to me.
Right, they
Yeah.
kind of went with that aesthetic.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm-
computers
I
are getting
think
smaller.
They,
Xboxes are
they
getting
were
bigger.
so staunch in
coming.
the no cross platform thing, and now they've all kind of eased up on it a little bit, and eased up
Right.
on it a little bit.
But the thing is, there's definitely room for consoles because the barrier to entry there, money wise,
Yeah.
is just way lower.
I prefer playing on consoles
Yeah.
because it's more relaxed.
It's so
like
well.
you said.
I love my
here's,
Xbox.
here's my problem, man. Like, I mean, I used to literally play. Like, I mean, we all used to hang out. Like, I remember vividly playing the original Grand Theft Auto and getting
boy,
that,
that
on my
game was awful.
on my platform, and it was banned in 13
Oh,
states and stuff. And like, and
That
I-
was your
I
intro
got
to me on that.
You remember?
Yeah, I remember you
And,
being like,
we-
"I'm going to
we
show you a
used to-
game that's banned in like 13 countries."
and it's
you
like
know?
this little dude running
No,
from a
yeah,
top
I mean,
view,
like, yeah,
and
I'm saying,
he's
like,
like shooting
there was-
like
there was-
yellow
there was
BBs at people.
officers- There was officers that were protesting in the streets. I understand where they came from at that time and that genre of what was going on. I mean, like literally they were. It was almost like glorifying shooting officers and things like that, which I mean, it's really fucked up. But at the same time, like we ate that shit up, dude. We
Remember
played
that
the game,
Lambo?
and the game was
I
amazing.
I don't think that. I think there's zero correlation between violence and video.
Oh no,
real life violence and
I
video
do
game
too,
violence.
and I didn't agree with
But
you,
you,
man,
but you can
because-
see
you're
where
100
people
no,
who
you're-
didn't play video games could be upset by a
Right.
video game in which you were simulating
Right.
killing a cop.
What
Maybe back
what
then.
Yeah.
Not in 2020.
especially- Not now. Absolutely. No, I'm saying there's.
There's too much evidence to override. If you
Sure.
murder a bunch of people in a video game, it's not
It's not.
correlating.
Because
you
by this
murdering
point,
people in
I
real
would
life.
be.
Because we're all a video game, and when they murder people in the streets, we're probably already in a video game.
Colby's on that simulation theory.
Yeah, I kind of am. But, yeah.
I had a theory about the Area 51 raid, about how
one?
we actually.
Oh, the one with
How we,
yeah.
my theory was we actually were successful, but they reset the simulation since we were successful. Anyway, I think we'll just end it there, and
yeah.
we'll wrap it up there. And but I'm definitely gonna have you guys back on, man. I appreciate you guys coming out and doing this thing. Once again, guys, Colby, check out Snail Trail Screen Printing, and on Facebook there, and I think that you said that'll take you to your .com as well. And Chad, check out Hybrid Moments Tattoos and the crew down there. If you want to get tattooed, get pierced, get your eyebrows on fleek.
InHybridMoments.com.
What is it?
Yeah.
InHybridMoments.com.
And hybridmoments.com. And check us out online. We got all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or send us an email at stayradpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you guys for listening, and always remember to stay rad.